And welcome back into Open Line. We're so glad that you've been watching this evening here. Chuck Long with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm, one of the most respected law firms in the entire state of Tennessee. 37 years of experience, and that does speak for itself. Like I said, every case in the world you guys have seen. Now, talk about every case in the world. One of the most famous cases going on right now, and we just talked about that before the break, the Britney Spears case.
Yes.
You know, Dad is still in charge of the conservatorship. Why is it so difficult for her to break that?
Well, first off, it's public policy. If we have someone who is incapacitated, and of course they're giving us estimates of $60 million worth of assets. We also have heard rumors and seen video clips where she had bizarre behavior. So it would dissipate the assets if she did not have the mental capacity to manage her affairs. That's when someone steps in, files a petition with the court. They have to have two doctors to say Chuck cannot handle his financial affairs, and then the judge, based on this evidence. Now remember, you and I talked during the break. How do you break it? Well, if someone mistreated that person, if someone denied them even some of the basics, then the conservatorship could remain, but we have a right to remove the person who's in charge, that fiduciary, and then we could get another one. And you say, well, what would be abusive? If I had $60 million and you give me $3,000 a month to live on, and I wanted to take my grandmother on a vacation, and I've got them, and you wouldn't, is that reasonable? The question gets down, what would a reasonable person do under the circumstances? So, and remember this, we have not had privy to all the inside, the affidavits, the depositions, and so if we had heard, just like we only can assume that this judge has heard enough that he's going to stand on this. Do judges make mistakes? Absolutely. And do we appeal those? Absolutely. And you know what? We have newly discovered evidence. Guess what? Chuck could be my conservator today. He's been there for 10 years. I made an argument he needs to be removed. The judge denied it. Well, guess what? I got some new evidence. I got 3 witnesses, and Chuck comes back and says, well, Kevin, I've got 5 witnesses. Now, I didn't say which one was credible, but here we go to the lawsuit, and so we're going to try to discredit his, and he'll discredit ours. He'll get an expert that costs a lot of money, and we'll get 2 experts that cost. So how does it fall? No one knows. But sometimes the only way to resolve it is to go to court. And sometimes when you keep going up the chain, we talk about a war. I don't want us to get into a war, but if war is the only way to settle this, then we must go.
Absolutely. That makes sense. So, again, a lot of eyes on that case. Just kind of wondering
the whole world is watching
how that's going to turn out. You know, now, then kind of talking more close to home. We were talking, you know, a little bit about what you should and shouldn't say if you're stopped in a traffic accident, in any situation with the police. But also, and of course, in the police now have body cams and that kind of thing. A lot of people ask, even a small traffic accident, a speeding ticket, are you able to pull out, because everybody has a phone, are you able to take that phone out and just start videotaping or just take pictures?
Sure.
Do you have to ask for permission?
No, you have a right to do that. And of course, now you're going to set that officer on fire. Sometimes they say, oh, we've got one of these guys that knows everything. And then they are looking for this, that, and the other. And so I detect a smell of marijuana. And so you bring them in on you even deeper. You know, cooler heads prevail. The Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath. So I could get out really abruptly. Road rage, all-time high. So I'll take those biblical words. One thing that I've learned about being a lawyer all these years, the Bible is true cover to cover. I was interviewed by the American Journal of Trial Advocacy. They want to know, how'd you win all those jury trials? I said, it's simple. It's biblical principles. They said, oh, that's nice, Mr. But what is the secret? I said, there is no secret. That is the truth. So again, we come from the premise that we have to protect ourselves, and the more you talk, the more open they have to interpret against you, because they said, well, you didn't tell us, you talked to us, but you didn't tell us this, this, this. Remember, I had a lawyer once say, Kevin, any lawyer can critique another lawyer's work. You didn't ask enough questions. You asked too many questions. You didn't bring the subpoena. So when we're under the gun and you're the one that's pulled over and the blue lights are going, then you'll remember these words of Kevin Kennedy: loose lips sink ships. Try to only respond and try to have a cordial spirit of cooperation. Remember, Chuck, since you and I saw each other, I was involved in a car wreck, so I'm confronted. I was thinking about this open line. Kevin, what did you tell everybody? And let us recall. And, you know, quite frankly, I was on the phone to some of my own people. So we always have to think, and those are great questions. Thank you, Chuck. I know they've helped a lot of people, and so touche to you tonight.
Well, like I say, I carry them in my back pocket as well. So believe me, I many times have been in a situation where I think, what would Kevin say?
Yeah, well, when we leave here and when you get in the car, one of the things the Kennedy Law Firm, will not go a month without seeing horrendous wrecks. Are you immune? Are you exempt? Is your family? And I've said sometimes, what's worse, having a car wreck and killing someone or being killed? They're both horrible. Horrible. And if you got to me, I can tell you a lot of things that we can do immediately. There's no doubt it will make a difference. But you've got to know, and then you've got to do. So I'm trying to teach you how to know about this, and I'm trying to encourage you to do something about it.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to our lines right now. Thomas is on the line with us. Thomas, we're glad that you're watching Open Line. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I really enjoy y'all. Kevin is really a knowledgeable lawyer, the best I've heard, I guess. But my question was, I've noticed he's lost a lot of weight.
Come on, Thomas. Tell the truth one time.
Pardon?
I said, tell the truth. I loved you saying that.
You have? I mean, are you trying to do it? I hope you're not sick.
Yeah, well, you're very kind. You know, I think I did lose a little weight after this car wreck, and I had to go through a bunch of medical treatment. I was even surprised. And when I went to the doctor, one doctor said, you got to go to the emergency room. And I said, okay. And I go out there, and the doc said, are you Kenny Kennedy's dad? So that doctor went to school with my own son. I said, hey, Kenny, and we were glad. Then they referred me to a specialist, and that doctor went to school with my son. So thank you. I think I did lose some, but I would attribute it more to all these tests and things that I had to go through.
Absolutely.
But thank you for those comments, Thomas. They're very nice.
And Thomas, do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
No, I just wanted to tell
compliment
Kevin.
Hey, encourage him. Go ahead, Thomas.
Maybe next time. Yeah, Thomas, that's a good thing. I often say question or a comment. Now I'll say question, comment, or compliment.
Yeah, we love those compliments. Chuck, he'll like those too.
Absolutely. Well, Thomas, you made our night, so we appreciate you calling in.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one. All right. Now, Kevin, again, we were talking a little bit about, too, when you're in a situation, a practical situation. Like I said, I carry these in my back pocket a lot of times. And you say, you know, you shouldn't be careful what you say.
Yeah.
You can, though, pull out the camera.
Yes.
You don't have to necessarily have permission. You can do it. What if you start doing it and an officer says, put that away?
Okay, good question. It's a good question. We won't obey the law, but we have certain rights. And just for instance, one of my assistants had a car wreck, and her mother had been in a car wreck. And she said, what do I do? I said, well, go by there, get some pictures, get some video. She went by there, and the police said, you can't be here. Well, we know you do have a right. You can't obstruct traffic, but you have a right to take those pictures. You have a right to do that. So sometimes we have to look. I don't want to agitate them, and I don't want them to say disorderly conduct. So I try to explain, and it's kind of like what Kevin Kennedy said, dance a jig. What does that mean? You dance with the officer, and then you dance with the doctors, and when you get it all finished, you came out ahead. You don't come in just push and demand, because if you do, you will be met with resistance that usually doesn't have a good answer.
All right. Kevin, we just got a couple of minutes left.
Yes,
it's been great having you back in person.
It's been great being back.
I tell you
tonight.
what, again, I'm glad that we were able to do Zoom during all this COVID time, but it's just so much better to have you back in person.
Yeah.
I often ask you at the end of the show for some words of wisdom, kind of what you're feeling right now. So, and especially being back in person, where we are, words of advice, words of wisdom for the final couple of minutes.
Well, this is what I always like to share. We're coming up close to the 4th of July. We live in the greatest nation in all the world. We have these rights that have been given to us by the Constitution. Man, I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the lawyers and the judges. Our economy, our whole way of life hinges on the American judicial financial system. So I don't want to tear it down. I want to build it up. I want you to educate yourself and to teach your children. When you're having this little get-together, 2 things from Kevin Kent. Say the prayer of thanksgiving over this meal and try to take some of the things that we've shared with Open Line and teach your children, your grandchildren, your nephews and your nieces, because in the long run, that's what people are supposed to do. Take care of the family. Make the family strong. God bless you.
Absolutely. And just about the final minute, Kevin, you know, one of the things that we were talking about tonight, too, was just being knowledgeable. You often say knowledge is power. That's what people really need to underline. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better.
Yes. And now we have so many things available to us. You know, you can Google. You'll get a general idea. So much of the time, I know what the theory of the law, I don't know the specific statute, but they all are based on honesty, and they're based on trying to do the right thing. It's against public policy for me to rip Chuck off. So stand on that. All the laws are good, and they're based on Christian laws. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And so that's the basic premise, common law, so you can understand pretty much they're never going to support lying. Everybody hates a liar. And so be truthful in your dealings, and it'll always pay off. You will reap what, Chuck?
What you sow.
I heard him say
words
it. Chuck
to live
Long.
by.
Stand on it.
We always appreciate it, Kevin. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, we'll tell you how you can get a hold of the Kennedy Law Firm. Right after this, you're watching Open Line.